Hi, I hope you're all doing well and a very happy new year. So this is my first video of this year about Temu hooks. A friend of mine has been using the C hooks and has done really well with them and surprised at the quality. So I thought I'd give the fly tying ones a bit of a go. This is just one of the hooks in a vise, and I pushed it one way and the other to quite extreme angles just to check there was no brittleness, which is often a fault with very cheap hooks. They look all right, but they tend to be tempered in such a way that they just snap at the least possible provocation. But these seem to be really up to the job. This is the first one we're going to have a look at, the dry fly hook. I've tied a quill-bodied dry fly with a Wonder Wing style wing, which is very durable. And you see, it's a nicely proportioned hook. That, by the way, is a size 14. And what I found with all of these hooks that I've had a look at is that the eyes are nicely formed. They seem to close them without any nasty sharp edges. The next hook we're going to look at is the shrimp and caddis hook. I quite like these strongly curved hooks for hackle stacker type dry flies, because they force the abdomen of the fly underwater, and a little bit like the clink hammer type of dry fly. Anyway, I've got a size 20 hook in the vise, which is well, very small indeed. The size scale of these hooks seems to be pretty true. And quite often you get a hook that's supposed to be 20 and it's more like a 14. Anyway, there with the ever shaky hands, I'm introducing the other fly for you to get an idea of the scale of the size 20. And you can get 3-pound nylon quite easily through the eye of the hook. Jig hooks, which are so useful for your check nymphing. Now, I found my Temu hooks took about 2.5 weeks to arrive in Cumbria, so I think every location is different. I did try one or two other things that I was pretty disappointed with them, so I won't bother mentioning them. Anyway, this is a fly that I did really well with in the past, which is a little purple-headed pheasant tail. It's caught me an awful lot of rainbows when fished with a very small bead, and also quite a few brown trout when fished conventionally check nymph style. I think the size of that one was a size 16. The wire isn't gold, it's actually green enamelled, if you want to follow the dressing, it's quite straightforward. Price wise, you're getting these hooks, I think, at least a quarter of the price you'd find similar quality hooks. So it's a fairly substantial saving. I tried Temu out with just a small order to see that I actually got what I wanted, because the Facebook is full of sort of like horror stories of people getting something quite bizarre. Anyway, that's a partridge and orange spider just tied on that hook. So with that lovely big gape, it should take a decent hold of the fish. I also like the fact that most of their barbless hooks have the points turned slightly inwards, which I always think leads to better hook holding. And again, the eyes nice and tight in. There was no fear of me cutting the tying thread as I was tying the flies. Right, I didn't have a special sheet for this hook, but this is going to be the caddis pupa and lather hook. Which I think is a very nice hook shape for doing parachute flies on. So here I've got one of my parachutes on it. The tying looks quite ropey here, but believe me, it's half decent. I think it's just when you look at extreme magnifications, things don't quite look the way you think they are. It's a bit like looking at your face in one of those magnifying mirrors. You get quite a shock when you see what it's really like close to. Well, I do in my case, but maybe not in yours. Anyway, if you've been watching up to now, thanks so much for watching. I've got a lot of stuff planned this year. I had an awful lot of stuff planned last year, but things went wrong, so we'll forget about that. And I just hope I'm on a better path this year with a lot of fishing videos. So again, from me, bye for now. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.